thanks for you all for one, putting together the EPS conference, but at the same time, putting folks in conversation with each other that usually are not in conversation with each other, right? And I think this is one of the purposes here. And I think this is a challenge, but in order to engage the challenge, we have to be critically aware of what the historical relationship has been with universities and communities. Right? And you all are actually living some of this in Madison, right? The University of Illinois Chicago is in the middle of the city, right? It's literally walking distance from downtown. There are 5 schools that are less than 3 blocks away in every direction, except east, because going east is actually downtown. Now, half of those schools have no access to UIC. When you are in the College of Education, you very rarely see young people, right? So and if there are some young folks, it's like 3 of us on the floor, and they always ask us, "They with you?" Right? Right? You see young folks, Stovall, right? Right? So now I just claim them now, right? So if I see a group of young, yeah, right? So this thing around understanding that particular relationship, right, and troubling it, right? So I take the work of Kevin Kumashiro, Linda Tuiwai Smith around this reframing, right? So when we talk about this reframing, it's not just rhetorical, right? Because also in university work, you can get caught up in the discourse, right? Or the $15 words that you really don't want to explain because you don't know what they mean, right? That's let's let out the academic secret, right? You know, people can just proliferate on neoliberalism, right? Historicity, you know, the subaltern. Right? All this business, it's like, okay, can you explain it to your grandmother or a 3rd grader? Right? And if you can't do that one, I don't know if you necessarily need to be using those words. Right? So now, what does it mean? Because we were having a conversation a couple days ago, you know, people on the block understand neoliberalism, right? Yeah, in Chicago, we sold the lease to parking meters for 99 years. Right? So folks on the block understand that. Right? Folk understand neoliberalism as the raising of gas prices. Because if you come to Chicago, gas is all tax. Right? Gas is almost 65% tax in Chicago. Right? Folks understand that. Right? We were trying to privatize streets and sanitation. Right? And actually tack on a city tax fee with the privatization. Right? So people understand that. Right? So this thing around, and a good friend of mine, a former student by the name of Crystal Laura, who's a professor at Chicago State, she always says, we miss the beauty of ordinary language, right? Because that is a political project, right? So Gloria Ladson-Billings, who's here, always reminds us that our teaching, our engagement is a political project. Right? It is engaged, it's not partisan politics, but engaged in how we understand power, what the navigations are, and then what are the contradictions therein, right? So I say these things to you not as an expert, but instead as a struggling educator, right? Who cannot get his pacing right in an African American and Latino studies class with 16 and 17-year-olds, right? I teach the class with one of my former undergrads, and she is a pacing master, right? So I learned a whole lot more from Yamali Rodriguez than me claiming I got 3 funky letters behind my name that we really are unsure of what they mean, right? So for all grad students, let's free you from the tyranny of really telling you what a PhD is, right? You wrote a whole lot about a little. Right? And now someone will call you to be an expert witness. Right? That's what that PhD is. A whole lot about a little. Right? So that does not necessarily guarantee expertise.